Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 12th episode of the Knowledge Nest, the CSI Library podcast. As you can see, we have a little bit different of a backdrop this week. I am filming this in Nashville. I am just about to go through the Online Learning Consortium 2023 Innovate Conference. And this is a full 4 days of instructional design, educational technology, educational theories, diversity, equity, inclusion, all sorts of things that are related to the furthering of education and knowledge integration and technology use related to all types of education, even from preschool all the way up to college and even professional development. And so I am learning about a wide range of topics that are going to affect teaching and faculty development at the College of Southern Idaho. Greg Wilson at the College of Western Idaho is also going to attend this conference. He is one of the general education faculty members. I think he might be the head of the department actually at CWI in general education. And he and I are both communicating with each other fairly frequently regarding open educational resources. So I'm very happy to be here and I'm very excited. I'll take a lot of notes, and I've already taken a lot of notes regarding the virtual sessions, and let's see what we can do. The possibilities around this, there's going to be around 300 sessions and around 100 vendors, different technologies and different theories on education. So tomorrow, I'm mostly going through several master classes. There are two main master classes. One of these is on course quality in the lens of the learners, or basically, how do students feel and react to different courses and different types of courses? And how does student experience, and how should student experience affect how teachers teach, how librarians provide access to resources, that type of thing. And then the other master course is on revolutionizing course content through ChatGPT, course content creation specifically. But I think there are a lot of effective tools and ways of using ChatGPT that are beyond simply course content creation. Using it as a tool in education is very important as well. And then the next day, I'm going to be learning about a wide range of technologies that can improve education accessibility and information resource accessibility. I'm going to take a little break in the middle during a lunch break and listen to the Artificial Intelligence and Copyright Literary Works Federal Congress hearing. That will be very exciting. And I'm going to learn about essentially how copyright is going to be affected by artificial intelligence creation and use. And that is kind of going to help prepare me for my increased role as a copyright advisor along with Dave Horalick. I'm also going to learn about instructional design models, and I'm going to be learning about, again, ChatGPT and accessibility, how that increases accessibility, intentionally designing interactive educational experiences. There are 3 or 4 sessions on that on Thursday, as well as how interactivity can increase diversity, equity, and inclusion, and collaborative asynchronous environments in education. There's also a slight focus on moving beyond space and time, or as they like to call it, manipulating space and time. There are some people who say, we're educators, we're librarians, we're magic. We can bend space and time. And that means you can have asynchronous sessions and asynchronous occurrences in a certain place, and then other people can go and add theirs, and then you can go back and see what other people have done and manipulate that. And that kind of is what people do with Discord or with chats or with discussions. But there are a lot of technological tools that people are trying to use to make that a more enduring and effective method of instruction. Things like Padlet, things like interactive presentations with hypothesis, or educational sessions in which instructors have slides and students can interact with those slides in real time as the instruction is going on. On Friday, I have 3 or 4 sessions regarding instructional design. In fact, one of the groups that I am a part of is a subgroup of OLC, and we're going to have an instructional design summit as part of the conference, talking about actively engaging in instructional design with new technologies and the progress of, or the process of progressional instructional design and changing the design of a course as students are interacting with you. And then on Saturday is my flight home. So I have an action-packed week, and I learned a lot from the virtual sessions of this conference a few weeks ago. I know that I talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to kind of review what happened that first week. The sessions that I attended during the virtual conference were very, very impressive, and it's partially because of those sessions that I'm excited to go in person. If the virtual conference is very good, this was the best virtual conference I attended, the in-person conference should be at least that good, if not better. And so the first session I attended was a quality approach to online learning. We talked about organization and content of courses, learning assurances, and how instructors could help students attain measurable objectives and interact with the students in a meaningful way, despite them being online students rather than in person. And a good portion of that first session was also only focused on interactions between faculty and students. That is a major part of all education. And even with online courses, instructors should be meaningfully interacting with students, and librarians should be meaningfully interacting with students, even if they're only doing it over an online platform. And so this is a very important session, and it affected how I was going to do my work as a librarian. I've mostly worked with instructors and faculty, and I'm very grateful for that. I love working with faculty. I'm working with faculty on a wide range of projects, and it's very exciting. But I would like to interact more with students, and this kind of helped me to bring technology and my role as a digital initiatives librarian specifically into how I interact with students, teaching them how to use technology for instructional purposes. There's a saying in an instructional design that it's not about using technology just because it's technology. You should use technology because it will help you further your educational goals or those of the students. I have a personal saying that technology use is not about the technology, but it's about using it effectively. Or in other words, successfully using technology is not the success or failure of a technology per se. It's the success or failure of the person using the technology or the teacher who is instructing students how to use the technology. You need to use it effectively, and you need to teach your students how to use it effectively. If you don't teach your students how to use it effectively and only draw their attention to the potential drawbacks or the dangers of the technology, they'll use it irresponsibly, or they will also be afraid. And we should not be afraid in this realm of education. We should be educating ourselves and others so that we don't have as much fear. The next session was experiential learning and team-based technological innovation. This was very important because it kind of goes back to the interactivity of the technologies and of online education and in-person education as you do field trips and field research and things. Experiential learning, however, is a singular session or multiple sessions, but every experience, it's one experience, and it's based on using technology with field research or with job experience. The session was focused on workforce development using technology as a team. And so, whereas field research, you do research and it's part of an assignment, the experiential learning, your work benefits you and is the assignment. Your physical success is the assignment. And this was a way to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility by providing access to those who didn't initially have access to the technology. And there were teams of students and there were teams of faculty members. Then I went on to best practices for online classroom management and instruction. This was a very long session, and it simply reviewed best practices for, I guess that it literally was the title, best practices for online classroom management and instruction. I will save these for any instructors who want to talk to me about this. This is kind of a dry but very important session. I was glad I went to it. And then I went to another inspiring session, old-fashioned practices in digital learning for equitable outcomes. And this was interesting because one of our presenters was in the Caribbean and the other was in Tennessee, and they both worked together. And they used technology, or they used, excuse me, practices or games, activities that were made common in the analog in-person classrooms, things like carousels or think, pair, share, or open-ended questions, but they use technology to amplify the effectiveness of these processes. They use a thing called ludic pedagogy. And this is a thing, pedagogy, a theory that was developed in 2022 and is still even being developed. And essentially, ludic pedagogy means that instructors moderate academic vigor with pleasure and discovery. It's not quite gamification, but it's more conversational than simply sitting down and writing an assignment or writing a paper. It's discussions, it's thinking outside the box, and how can you justify those things? These processes release the tension, aggression, stress, and anger that can be felt by students who are dealing with stressful topics and subjects. And the good thing about this pedagogy is there's a wide range of resources, but you don't have to follow a particular step. There are steps, you can modify them, do them out of order. You don't have to do certain activities if you don't want to. You should experiment and be authentic. It's very loose. I hesitate, in fact, to refer to it as a pedagogy, but it has been referred to as a pedagogy, so I'm still doing that. I think of it kind of as a resource bank of interactive options. And again, since they're old-fashioned and analog, you can use them with technology or you can use them simply in person and then add the technology later on if you want to. And I also followed a few more, or attended a few more sessions regarding workforce development. There was one particular session that was headed by Merlot, who are the consultants for the state of Idaho's Project Z degree program, and they had a session called Curriculum to Careers, Radical Collaboration in Assessment, Analytics, and Design. And they focused on their idea that higher education should prepare students for entering the workforce rather than simply teaching theories and ideas. Skills must be taught in every course. And there were other sessions that had the same idea. I think that Merlot did it best. There was another session that focused on digital badging as they talked about workforce development, and that was very, very impressive. Another session was Framework for Increasing Critical Thinking, Engagement, and Knowledge Construction in Online Discussions. Essentially, how do you make discussions and other interactive peer-to-peer experiences less dry? And they talked about asking students questions, asking students to share their thought process, weaving evidence, enforcing them to cite their citations and really think about how they're analyzing the evidence, and including reflections or metacognition. And metacognition in particular is one of my favorite exercises, and a lot of my professors in my last master's degree and in this master's degree that I'm taking use that tool, metacognition. It's very helpful. Another session was a kind of a case study on advancing OER in Texas, which was very, very helpful. They followed a lot of the same processes and steps that I have followed when I've done this and that we have done throughout the state as we've collaborated. We also talked about, again, professional development. And then we talked about the plenary session was a conversation on digital equity and student success. One of the favorite quotes that I had from that session from presenter Dr. Tia McNair is, we shouldn't be pitted against each other. We should be thinking about how this work is expansive. In other words, you don't have to work against people. You can work with them to solve their problems and solve yours. Be intentional but not destructive. Be intentional but not fighting against each other. And that is true in many different areas of education, in diversity, equity, in technology use, the digital divide. There are many, even interdepartmental communication. We can either choose to have conflicts, or we can choose to resolve those conflicts and be amicable and work together. And that is the main takeaway of all of these sessions. With technology, we can work against it or we can collaborate with it. And we shouldn't be shaming others for using technology or for not using technology. We can help each other. If we see a fellow instructor or if we see ourselves using technology simply for the sake of technology, we can say, hey, let's take a step back and look at if there's another technology we can use for this, or do we really need to use a more advanced technology? Let's take a step back and look at simpler technologies. So students, I hope that this was kind of informative to kind of give you an eye into what we are going to focus on, what we do to prepare to best serve you. And educators, I am very, very excited, faculty members and staff, to be able to help you with these things. Please reach out to me. Even this week, I have a lot of time in the evenings. All the sessions ended around 6, and there are some other occurrences, some gatherings going on until 9 or perhaps even later. But at around 7 or 8, I'll be available. So please email me, and I will be glad to help any of you students. Ask me for help with resources. And again, all the librarians are here to help you. In the last week, we had the book club, and I unfortunately was not able to attend that, but I assume it was very well attended. Please come to the next one. I believe that will be in the summer, so I don't know if we're going to do it during the summer, but I know that these have been a major focus of our work. Allison has done a great job. We're all very excited for the next book club. So thank you for all that attended, and I am very grateful for this opportunity to be here in Nashville and to report back to you all and to help you bring education to you in a way that best suits you. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week on The Knowledge Nest.